Today on Locked on Blue Jackets, we are continuing the Johnny hockey conversation. I've got Jess Belmosto from Locked on Flames to give us the inside scoop on the newest Blue Jacket forward. That's coming up today on Locked on Blue Jackets.
Locked on Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked on Blue Jackets, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to bring you all of the news, the stories, the excitement of your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we start, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every day. Locked on Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and also over on YouTube. And I want to thank everyone for listening, for subscribing, for liking. The reaction to the Johnny Gaudreau signing has been absolutely incredible. I hit 100 subscribers on YouTube, and I'm well on my way to my next 100. So I'm going to be doing the Rick Nash puck giveaway next week. So there'll be details about that coming soon. But yeah, just super, super grateful for everyone who's tuned in over the past kind of week and a bit since the draft and the free agency. It's been a fun time to cover this team, and I hope it's been a fun time to be a fan of this team. So here's to all of you guys, and here's to the future of this team. I will now get into my conversation with Jess about Johnny Gaudreau. So we all know who Johnny Gaudreau is. We all know who Johnny Hockey is. But I thought, who better to come and tell us a little bit more about the newest Blue Jacket, or potential plural Blue Jackets, depending on how much time we have today, than someone who covers the team. So I've got Jess Belmosto here of Locked on Calgary Flames to come and tell us a little bit about our newest son.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to just talk about John to someone who will listen.
Well, I guess let's start off with, how do you feel about the trade? Not the trade, excuse me. How do you feel about the signing?
I have mixed emotions. I totally understand why he chose to go to a team in the States. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, oh, there goes the Flames window, shut and locked. It's fine. But, at the end of the day, it is a business. It's a personal decision. These aren't just pawns and video game characters. They have lives too.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I've seen, and I'm sure you've seen a lot as well, of a lot of fans feel betrayed by Gaudreau choosing to go somewhere else. And I'm like, yeah, but he's like, the team has basically controlled what he's been able to do for the first 10 years of his career. Like, you can't, and admittedly, I am biased because he came to my team, but
exactly.
you can't begrudge him for like, hey, I finally have an amount of agency about where I can go, and I want to go to Columbus, which...
That's fine.
Yeah.
Which I think going to Columbus makes a lot more sense than going to a team like Philly, Jersey, or even the Islanders. And people are saying he's not that close to home. Have you looked at a map of the United States? Do you think that Johnny Gaudreau, the millionaire, is going to be driving 8 hours back to Salem, New Jersey? Or is he going to hop on a flight that takes 90 minutes?
Yeah, that was the thing. They were like, 8 hours is not that close. And I'm like, he has $1 bajillion and the Blue Jackets have a private jet. Like,
he can afford to charter a private jet if he so chooses. It doesn't, It's so much closer than Calgary, and you don't have to deal with customs. You don't have to deal with, I was talking with Brett of Locked on Oilers yesterday, and he said, sometimes I can't even find a direct flight from Edmonton, which is in Alberta, north of Calgary, to Toronto. which is the same country.
Yeah.
So cry me a river about this. He's not that close to home.
Like, the absolute worst case scenario is that he has to fly from Columbus Airport to, like, Newark.
Right.
And that's
Or
like an
even
hour and a half flight.
Philly.
I've done that flight.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
fine.
it's not
It's
bad.
okay.
Right.
But
Just bitterness. Something else.
let's talk a little bit about Johnny, the
Oh,
hockey player,
yes.
because he's not a player that I get to watch a lot. Obviously, playing in the Western Conference, and he had a phenomenal season this season. At the point, like, it's weird. I knew he was good, but when they were like, "Yeah, he had 115 points this season," I was like, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
dang." So, tell us a little bit about what we should expect from Johnny Gaudreau when he steps on the ice in October.
There is so much skill in that quote-unquote undersized body of his that I swear he just absorbed it from everyone else around him as a child. He is fantastic. He has speed. He's recently become more of a defensive forward as well. Now, I wouldn't put him up there with someone like Patrice Bergeron in terms of being a two-way forward, but there is a defensive element to his game that hadn't been there in years past. And today in his press conference, he talked about him not overpassing as much anymore and how he wants to work on that. And that's like the one qualm I have with him, is just not having the confidence to shoot the puck. So if you leave Johnny open behind the net, he's going to score. There's no doubt about that. He will find a way to get that puck in the net. I want to say that I want to say that he's a clutch player, but I feel like he hasn't had enough time or opportunity to truly earn that title, but he did score the overtime goal in Game 7 against Dallas. So, to me, that's about as clutch as you get. So,
coming up in a minute, I've got more of my conversation with Jess about Gaudreau, but first I've got to tell you about BetOnline, because if you had put money on the Blue Jackets landing Johnny Gaudreau, I bet you could have made some serious cash, and you could have done that at betonline.net. They are your number one source for all your betting needs and sports information. You can find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, news, including Major League Baseball this season. There's NFL futures, there's NHL futures. You can already bet on who's going to win the Stanley Cup next season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including things like live betting, esports, sports scores. They remain the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season, and they are the fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite sports and events, including things like MMA, boxing, golf, horse racing is happening. There's so many different sports, and betonline.net has them all. So head to the website today. Once again, that is betonline.net, or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action, because BetOnline is where the game starts. Yeah, he's a player that, and I was talking to Gilmartin of the Lockdown NHL channel about this, and he's one of the three best players that's ever played for Columbus already. Like,
and he hasn't even.
This is so exciting. It's a franchise altering decision, and a lot of people, I feel like, haven't even seen him at his best yet because of the COVID seasons. It's all been super weird. Like, a couple of seasons ago, they didn't face each other at all because they had to play Edmonton like 12 times instead of going to the States, So
Yep.
I feel like it feels silly to say that he's underrated, because I feel like a lot of people know exactly how good he is, but I feel like there's a lot more people out there that are like, and like I saw a lot of, I was tweeting about this earlier. I saw a lot of very salty Flames fans being like, Johnny Gaudreau's gonna be bad once you take him away from Kachuk and Lindholm. Like, who have Columbus even got to play with him? He's gonna be like, one guy was like, he's probably gonna be a 45-point player on Columbus, and I'm like, my guy. He could play by himself and still probably crack the 50-point mark. Like,
and that doesn't, to me, you're just like dogging on his performance and not the players that Columbus has available. I don't know. I don't really actively root for the downfall of, well, I was gonna say any NHL player, but that's a lie. But no, I think that he's going to thrive in Columbus. I hope he does. I hope that, in a few years from now, he looks back and says, this was the right decision. And I'm sure he will. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't be excited. I haven't seen any Blue Jackets fans be like, why would they do this? Because you're smart.
The one question mark now is Patrick Laine.
Yeah.
But I also Jarmo Kekalainen's talked a lot about we want to re-sign. We still want to re-sign Patrick Laine. That's still there. That's still what their
Right.
plan is. And so I have been thinking about putting literally anyone between Patrick Laine and Johnny Gaudreau and just kind of watching them go.
Yeah.
That, put Boone Jenner between them for all I care.
That's fine.
That feels like it's going to be fun. I do want to talk about, so obviously he had 150 points this season, which is bonkers, 40 goals. His previous high was 99 points, I believe, a few seasons ago. And then he's kind of hovered somewhere around between, I think, 60 and 80 for most of his other seasons. Do you think he can consistently hit that kind of 100-point mark? Do you think this season was not necessarily a fluke, but is the season he had this year repeatable, do you think?
So I think why it looks like he took such a nosedive is because of the unfortunate pause in the season. And then last year was the shortened season against all the Canadian teams. And quite honestly, I never want to do that again. So if we can keep this world healthy, that'd be great. But I do think that he is somebody who can consistently put up between 90 and 100 plus points. I think that he is entering his prime. That 115-point season is the launching point for what his future is going to look like. And it's bright. Like, I don't care what team he went to, he was going to be a difference maker anywhere else. And, like you said, you could put him on the ice by himself and he could do the 100-point thing. It's just, what gets to me is I don't know how the Blue Jackets current coaching system works, but he did take a little while to adjust to Daryl Sutter's coaching style. But once he did, we saw the true talent and the full potential of Johnny.
Yeah, Brad Larson is this is only going to be his second full year coaching as a head coach, but he's kind of the Blue Jackets were fun this season. They were not necessarily good all of the time, but they were fun, and I feel like they play a style that Gaudreau is really going to flourish in. You talked about he does have that defensive responsibility, which is great because not a lot of our forwards like to do the defense thing. A lot of our defensemen also don't necessarily like to do the defense thing. They we just have a bunch of rovers at the back, so it'll be nice to have someone who can play that kind of two-way game. But yeah, and I think we talked about this in the live show yesterday of if Johnny had gone to Philadelphia, that could have been an interesting clash between John Tortorella's preferred style and Johnny Gaudreau's actual style. So this feels like the best situation for him to be that player. I think there was when Patrick Laine first came to Columbus, there was a lot of talk of we need to turn him into a 200-foot player. We need to turn him into a power forward. No, you don't.
No.
You park him in that face-off dot and you get the puck to him. Like, you don't need to make him learn how to do defense. And I think they've kind of figured that out with Laine. So hopefully they could do the same with Gaudreau and figure out, okay, this kid can just pass the puck all day to Patrick Laine, to Oliver Bjorkstrand, to Cole Sillinger, to literally whoever, and find success.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And especially where John is kind of at that point in his career where he's 28, 29 years old. I'm not saying you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but he's been in he knows what works for him at this point in his career. Sure, you can say, hey, let's like try this and see how it works, but you don't have to force the implementation of something ridiculous that it's just probably going to set you up for failure.
Yeah, for sure. In a minute, I've got more of my conversation with Jess about Gaudreau. That's coming up next on Locked on Blue Jackets. So he actually, in terms of like, I want to talk about the contract for a little bit, because the first I heard was that the Blue Jackets had made an offer of like 7 years at $12 million. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no.
Slow down. But how do you feel about the contract that he signed? 9.8, that I think it's 9.75 million was the official AAV. Like, is that about right? Is that a little bit like, did Yarmo manage to get a little bit of a steal there?
I feel like it's right. I'm sorry. There aren't too many 10 million plus players in this league. And I understand why Calgary rolled out the red carpet and figures for him. But, 9.8 feels right. And Flames fans are talking about how he left $15 million on the table and how can that be the right decision for the family? Because it's not all about money. But I do like that figure for the salary cap that's just the number that I would give John regardless. I think that, between 9.5 and 10 is where he's at. And, the $12 million figure, I remember seeing that and being like, oh, we're getting a little overconfident here. Okay.
I was like, yeah, this feels like a very free agency thing to be like $12 million. But yeah, it's been a wild 24 hours for Blue Jackets fans. I want to ask you a little bit about the Flames now.
Yeah.
What do the Flames do now that they haven't got Gaudreau? Like, is all of their focus going towards locking Matthew Tkachuk up? Are they going to go after another big name to try and replace Gaudreau? Like, what's their plan to stop themselves from falling immediately out of the playoff window that they kind of built up?
I think that their plan is to sell the world to Matthew Tkachuk and be like, listen, you're the superstar here now. You want that captaincy? You earned it last year. Here's this $10.5 million deal. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, I think that they are going to work on extending him long term and work on Andrew Mangiapane as well, who is 26 and a really young player who is a prime offer sheet candidate. So I just think that those two deals truly are the main priority right now in terms of them wanting to move forward. They said that they didn't have a plan B for if John walked, and I don't believe that. I don't believe that because I make plan Bs in case my lunch plans fall.
Right.
You're telling me you don't have a plan B as a general manager of like a multi-billion-dollar like corporation. I think that Nazem Kadri is still out there. I was hoping they would go after someone like Philip Forsberg, but unfortunately, that's gonna deal happened for that extension happened. But I also think that this is a perfect opportunity for them to promote from within and give some of their younger guys a chance at the big league roster. Adam Ruzicka is a fantastic prospect. Pelletier had one of the best seasons in Stockton history. There's a lot that is there and can make the roster better. But it's truly whatever Daryl Sutter wants because he doesn't like playing the young kids. So
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I watched a lot of Stockton last season when I was covering the Ontario Reign for Field Pass Hockey last season. So I watched a lot of the Stockton Heat games, and I was like, man, Calgary has got a sneaky good farm team here. So I think you might be right. Like, and I think there's the thing about always re-signing your big names, I think, is that sometimes that creates a little bit of a logjam. And,
Yeah.
you're never, like, who's going to put Johnny Gaudreau on the second line, to give
No
some kid a chance? So this could be, your prospect, I think, could, hopefully there's one or two of them that can go out there and, like, be like, I'm going to take this opportunity and give it everything I have. I've seen a lot of, I feel like Flames fans have gone down two very distinct emotional paths here, and it's Gaudreau sucks, we don't need him anyway, and this team will fall
Delusional.
apart without Gaudreau, and there seems to be like no no in between. But I feel like the Flames are definitely a weaker team without Gaudreau.
Yeah.
But I also feel like people are expecting it feels almost as if they've taken Connor McDavid away from the Oilers. Like you've still got Leon Draisaitl on the Oilers. You've still got Matthew Tkachuk on the
Right.
Flames, who is, he scored 40 goals this season, right? Like he's a
Yeah. You still
phenomenal
have
young player.
Elias Lindholm too, who put up 42 goals or something.
Yeah.
Like there's still talent there. It's not something you can replace, obviously, but there's a way to work around it. There's other solutions, and this isn't a video game. It's just not. And I feel like so many people are just stuck in this negative loop of, well, he didn't go home. He didn't go home. Okay. He did not betray
He went
you.
where he wanted to go. Please
Right.
drop it.
And like there's just no reason to harp on this incessantly. Like he's gone. There's nothing you can do about it. And yeah, he kind of let things wait until the 11th hour, but what are you going to do? You can't like force him to change his mind. The contract's signed now. So
That's exactly how UFAs work. Like it's weird being on the other side of this, because obviously Blue Jackets fans got to see this firsthand a couple of years ago when Bobrovsky and Artemi Panarin and Matt Duchene all walked to free agency.
yeah.
Like it sucks. And I do feel for Flames fans, because it sucks when players that you love and good players decide to walk away. But at the end of the day, I will always support a player's right to go and play where he wants. It's like people get really upset when players request trades or when they don't want to re-sign, and I'm like, the team controls where they go until they're like what, 26,
Yeah,
25,
26,
26.
27,
Like if
I
they
think.
start playing at the age of 18 in the big leagues, that's 7 years of their NHL career where they've had basically
Mhm.
no agency in what they get to do or where they get to play. And
Yeah.
so yeah, again, I'm biased because he ended up on my team, but like if he'd ended up on New Jersey, or if he'd ended up on Philadelphia, or if he'd ended up on the Islanders, I would have been like, yeah, fine. He's given this team enough. He's given this team several years of his
Right.
peak at this point. He's allowed to play where he wants. So
And he doesn't owe anyone in Calgary anything. That's like someone, so his sister quote tweeted the Flames like tribute, like goodbye Johnny video. And people were in her replies like saying all these things. And it's just like, number one, this is his sister. She doesn't have anything to do with this. Number two, it's not going to change his mind. Number three, he doesn't owe you an explanation of why.
yeah, which I get. I again, because we've been through this, I do understand this feeling of betrayal. Like I was mad as hell when Bobrovsky walked away, when Panarin walked away, because I was like, they liked it here. We just
Right.
won our first playoff series ever with these guys, and now they're gonna walk away for a bigger payday. Like, fine, I guess. And I remember being really mad about it, but like at the end of the day, that's how
It's a
this
business.
league works in a salary cap world. Like he's
Yeah.
allowed to do what he wants. He's allowed to go where he wants. If the league didn't want that, then it wouldn't be designed like this. But I could rant forever about the problems that with the fan base versus like player agency. That feels like a whole other.
We could do a whole
episode.
episode on that.
But I will finish by saying that we will look after Johnny Gaudreau. He is our new child, and we will look after him for you. If people want to kind of keep up with the Flames, maybe check in with how Johnny Gaudreau's old team is doing, where can they find you and your show?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. I host Locked On Flames, so you can find it wherever you get your Blue Jackets, Locked On Blue Jackets podcast. YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, Audible, Odyssey, Apple, you name it. We're there, and I really think that the city of Columbus is going to come to love Johnny, his wife Meredith, Guy, and Jane, his parents, are just, they're fantastic people. And Uncle Jim is active on Twitter. He is just an icon in himself. Absolutely adore him. So just treat the whole Gaudreau package with love.
We can certainly do that. We'll have to get together again before the first Blue Jackets Flames game, and we can do some
Yes.
predictions and have some fun with it. But
Yeah,
thank you for coming to tell us all about Johnny Hockey for all of the Blue Jackets listeners out there.
I'm so happy I got to talk about it in a positive framing and someone who wants to hear it positively framed. But thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
You are extremely welcome. And that's all I've got for you today. Tomorrow we will be doing a little bit of a roundup of what the Blue Jackets roster could look like, or maybe not tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday, but the next episode will be a roundup, and then we're going to get back into our season reviews. Next up on the list is, again, it's really testing my knowledge. We're going to be talking about Carson Meyer next, who just recently signed a contract extension, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to be talking about him on the next episode. But that's it from me today. I've been Jay Foster. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER. You can find this podcast at LO_Blue Jacket. If you have comments, questions, criticisms, you can email me at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. Thank you once again for making this your first listen of the day. Like I said, I'm super, super humbled and thrilled by the growth that the channel has had over the last week and a bit, and hopefully we can keep on going. So if you want to subscribe over on YouTube, you can do that. We're on every podcatching app, every podcast app of choice. We are on everywhere you can think to watch a podcast. You can find us there, or listen to a podcast. I guess you listen to a podcast, you don't watch it necessarily, but you can watch it over on YouTube, and you're never going to have to get behind a paywall for a Locked On product. So why not jump on in and join the fun? And until next episode, make sure you stay locked on.